welcome back to the Gardening with Joe and Holly radio show. Happy to have you around. Want more information about those coupon codes and the companies that support the program? Parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com. Underneath the Season 9 tab and the Money tab at the top of the page. We're going to discuss ground cover. Sometimes you may not want some type of vertical plant or vegetation in a certain area, so a ground cover is a great option for multiple reasons, and it doesn't impede a vision in an area that you don't want things to be blocked.
Yeah, so natural ground cover, it's a low-growing plant, basically, and it does prevent erosion a lot of times. It'll help suppress weeds, or it can be replacement to grass, and it helps preserve the life of your soil, your ecosystem, what have you, in your backyard. So, it's a nice habitat creation as well. So not that, organisms don't live in grass, but a lot of times these different ground covers can allow for a more enriched ecosystem of different insects, creatures, etc. And that is very important. And the soil erosion is important because if you have like a side of a hill and the grass doesn't grow well there, one of these ground covers might grow better. And then if it's a steep hill, then you don't necessarily need to mow it.
Well, you shouldn't be mowing steep hills anyway. It's just you might as well have the ambulance setting right there at the driveway if you're going to try to mow a really steep hill in any type of fashion.
So what do?
Let it grow.
You just let your grass grow on a steep hill?
If it's a very high, intense embankment, it is too dangerous to try to, in another day, another conversation, but be smart. Grass can grow tall. It's a lot cheaper than a $dozen hospital bill, tens of thousands of dollars, or dead.
Right. The other good thing about ground covers is they can become more aesthetic, especially if it's like a flowering ground cover.
And they will start kind of filling in themselves. Yeah. They'll continue to expand in a moderate way.
And this is something that if you have trouble growing grass, these ground covers might be a better answer for you if that's something that you enjoy. If you're determined to grow grass and that's your thing, that's okay too. So here's a couple different options. Pennsylvania sedge, it likes dry, shady areas, and it does form a dense mat of foliage.
Now keep in mind that, each one of these are just a few of dozens, if not hundreds of different types of ground covers. If you have an area that is underneath a pine tree, for example, and you're trying to grow grass or you're trying to have a ground, there are certain areas where things are just not going to grow because it's just not designed to do such. So there's some work and homework has to be done for, is this number one necessary to have this covered? And two, if it is there something that will actually work in almost dark conditions? Probably not.
Yeah. You have to consider shade, sunlight, moisture, and
then if heat, and if you are able to grow it in somewhere that's a very difficult place, is it so difficult that you're not going to be able to get in there to maintain it, hydrate it, manage it?
And that might be a place, if it's like a back area that you don't really care about, just let it do its thing, So there's that too. Creeping thyme, most people are familiar with creeping thyme. It can be fragrant. So if you do have nasal sensitivities, to keep that in mind.
There are many different varieties of thyme in which are good for ground covers.
Yeah. So then we also have creeping phlox. Phlox is...
Whenever you say creeping, I just creeping Charlie. You don't want creeping Charlie. Even though creeping Charlie, which in some portions of the country, it is an invasive species. It is just overtaking lawns unless you spray. And it is part of the mint family. And there's people that will grow it in hanging baskets in their home because it is a herb or an herb in the herb family, and it's considered one of in the mint family.
Okay, so don't grow creeping Charlie in your yard. Okay, so phlox. Now there's an invasive phlox, and then there's a ground cover phlox. So you want to make sure you know the difference of what you're growing. Keep that in mind. The invasive phlox grows taller, like a long stem flower, and then the creeping phlox grows like a carpet. Yeah.
Whenever you're looking at, if you're serious about getting a ground cover plant for your area. Couple of steps in which you should take. Number one, we all have phones. Take some pictures of the area in which you want to put something there. Two, you can do your research online, or if you want to reach out to your local university extension office to find out what they suggest grows best in your area. Go to your local independent garden center, ask and see what they recommend or have on hand that will grow best in your area. Provide those photographs. You can also reach out to us, provide those photographs, and let us know what zone you're in, where your general location is, and then we can help guide you, because there is information, and the internet is a phenomenal tool, but it only goes so far. Whenever you talk to Roy at the garden center, who's been in there for 40 years and has seen every plant that has come in and understands the conditions in which works best in Northeast Denver, that is the person you want to go to, and he will say, yeah, that will work good. I know you want that one, but that's not going to do good for your area, and here's the reasons why.
Yeah, go talk to Roy. Okay.
Or your equivalent of Roy.
Yeah. So bugle weed. This is a fast-growing ground cover, and it has seasonal blooms. So that's one too. When they have these blooms,
yes,
you might attract, different pollinators, which is nice, or maybe not nice, depending on what you're trying to accomplish.
And also, you want to make sure the ground cover is adequate for the growing zone that you're in, or colder.
Yeah, because you want it to come back.
Yes.
Yes.
In the proper settings, in the proper growing, if you select the right ground cover, it will come back year after year after year.
So, with that being said, you might want to, like Joey said, consider something that might tolerate a little bit colder, just because as climate shifts and changes.
If you're in zone 5, or if you're in zone 6, find something that is adequate for zone 5. So when you do have that spurt of extra cold in the winter, it's covered. It's protected.
Yeah. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is how is this going to be year after year over winter? Because grass, goes dormant. What is this ground cover going to do?
Moss is, there's various species of moss. It's a great option for shady, moist areas, and soft. It's like a green carpet, and it can take over an area in a good way.
Yeah, I think people have many misconceptions about moss. They think it's bad. They think it's too moist, that it's harmful for
moss
some reason.
Moss only grows on the tree,
Yeah, and I think that's wrong. So, moss is a good garden ground cover, or backyard, wherever you're trying to ground cover. Especially, it does grow in the shady areas and the moist areas, so that could be a good choice for you. It's not something that you necessarily want to walk on a lot, because it can become compressed. But as far as just a ground cover, it's a good option. If I had a backyard or area that was very shady and maintain a lot of moisture, I think I like moss.
Kind
moss
of
is cool.
a wetlandy type of low-lying area.
Moss is neat.
Yeah, it's kind of like the coral reef of nature.
Yeah.
Coral reefs, if you've scuba dived, I have no intentions, no interest. But they always say on these shows, don't bump into the coral reef, don't touch them, because you will basically kill it, because they're so fragile, and they're the filtration of the ocean. Moss is kind of the same thing.
It's very filtering, and if you like, I built a terrarium, I got moss, and that was a good ground cover for my terrarium. It's a different type of moss than maybe a regular outside ground cover. This was preserved moss, but it's still an option. And
you can buy moss in 4-inch cups or 4-inch pots at your garden center. Also, I guess it in the independent. I guess it wouldn't be considered tropical in the tropical area.
I think it's just in the houseplant
area. But also it would be for outside now.
Right.
And we see moss growing on stumps, on the side of trees, on limbs. So that's a different type of moss in some realms than.
So there's the Spanish moss. There's the sphagnum.
Right.
moss. There's the there's a lot of types of moss. So yeah,
You're not a mossologist.
I'm not a mossologist, no, but I do like moss. I like when I'm walking in the woods in nature and I see the moss, and sometimes it's even on this one area that I go on little nature walks. Sometimes it's even on just chilling on the asphalt. So,
Tough stuff.
Yeah.
Well, summer is here and it is in full swing, and those nasty Japanese beetles are wreaking havoc on your yard, your garden, and anything they can get their little munchy mouths on.
If you're looking to successfully control beetles without damaging the environment, look no further than Beetle Gone from Phylum Bioproducts. Derived from a naturally occurring soil bacteria, Beetle Gone is the only organic solution that successfully controls beetle invaders. Just mix the powder with water and spray it on your plants. Once ingested, the target pests will stop feeding and die, and since it's an organic BT product, it's a great choice to use on your fruits and veggies in addition to your ornamental flowers and trees.
Not only does Beetle Gone work, but the best part about the product, it is safe to be used around beneficial insects such as butterflies, ladybugs, and bees, and has no water toxicity issues. That's BeetleGone.com. From the parent company, PhylumBioproducts.com. That's BeetleGone.com.